Now it's time to move on to our next speaker. I would call upon Vasanta to introduce our speaker. Vasanta.
Now it's time to introduce our speaker, Mr. Vikas Brahmawar. Vikas Brahmawar, founder, director, Boson Whitewater, India's first company and decentralized circular economy in wastewater reuse. Har Ek Boond by Republic TV as Water Warrior. Water Warrior in Times of India article, published and recognized by various media houses. Vikas Brahmawar and his team at Boson Whitewater has saved 819 millions of liters of water over the past 3 years and saving about 8 lakh liters of water every day. For the past 15 years, Vikas has been working on creating water abundance infrastructure for the cities of India prior to water industry. Vikas was working in London as a software engineer for an investment banking industry before getting into the water industry. Vikas holds multiple patents and water and wastewater system design. Vikas believed the only way the city would sustain in terms of wastewater is efficient reuse of wastewater. We welcome you, sir.
Hello, hi. Hi, good morning. This is Vikas Brahmawar. I run this company called Boson Whitewater. My today's time here, I'm going to talk about the water which you're getting to your apartment and the excess water where people were talking about. What is the solution available? What can be done? So, now, how many of you buy tanker waters for your house? Tanker water? Right? Everyone buys tanker water. How many, how many of you get municipal water? Wonderful, wonderful. So what we have seen is those who buy municipal water, it's like they get only 5% or 3% of municipal water. Rest all is substituted by either tanker or their own borewell. Now the Bangalore's average is out of 5 borewells if we have. Over last 2 years you had enough water. This year there is no water. Out of 5, average 3 dies. Only 2 borewell gives water. So eventually we'll all depend on water which we buy, right? Now, I'll talk about two aspects. One, the tanker water which you buy. Okay, I had my slide where I showed two colored water. I'll start again. So, um, how do you evaluate your water quality in your apartment? How do you evaluate your water quality? Does your tanker guy come and put it in the tank, and your security guard just opens the drum and you just put it, right? So that's the normal way every apartment has been working on incoming water, right? Now, if this was done in 2008, 2009, this was okay because we didn't have heavy metal contamination, we didn't have many other contamination which was not coming. So 6 months ago, I went to Basveshwar Nagar. There was a 82-year-old person. He said, "ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಾವು 20 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಇದೇ ನೀರು ಕುಡಿತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ, ಏನೂ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ. Nothing is happening to me. I'm okay. ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಪ್ರಾಡಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ?" So now we took water sample in regions in Basveshwar Nagar where in 2008 the nitrate level was 37, 38 ppm. But in 2020 it is 340 ppm. Okay. So now we have reached a stage where without testing the water, we don't know what is the quality of water. So out of these two, water, which is good water, which is bad water? Which is little good, which is little bad? Because that's what we see in tanker, right? This is little good, this is clear. That's what we see in tankers. What is the answer? Left side one is good or left side one is bad? Exactly. So most of them would say this is clear, water is clear, because that's how we evaluate water so far, right? The left one, there is food color in it. The TDS is 350 ppm, hardness is 110 ppm, heavy metals is not there, nitrate is 35 ppm, chloride is 76 ppm. Now people who get this color water, they don't get it tested. They call a vendor, they put lots of chemicals to treat it. They put polyelectrolyte, polyalkylamide, different kinds of chemical, make it clear. Now when they make it clear, they have no color, correct? But the TDS is 2850, hardness is 1340, chloride, iron, heavy metal traces, all these comes to the water. So now first thing in an apartment association, if you're buying tankers, you should first ask what is the source of the water, get the water tested. There are many NABL certified laboratory. That's the first thing you should do. Testing doesn't cost a lot. You should budget it at least say monthly once, 2 months once. It costs 1,500 rupees to test it. Test it from a NABL certified laboratory. If a laboratory is giving you a testing for 700 rupees, the chemical cost to put inside itself is 1,000 rupees. So you won't be able to test water if you're paying 700 rupees to a laboratory, right? So get the water tested before you keep using it. You at least know what is there in the water and then decide what to do about it. Okay, without testing we won't know. Now these are the common source. Now I've heard people, municipal water is very good, so namgen problem illa, we always get municipal water. In most cases, municipal water is good when the pipeline is not damaged, right? Now if there is some rework of pipeline, HSR layout over the past 6 months had 3 times sewage contamination. 3 times sewage getting into municipal water, right? So I stay at HSR, so I know we have been tracking. So 3 times there is sewage contamination. Now, if you have a treatment plant for your apartment, generally what people do is my next building has 2 cylinder, I will also put 2 cylinder. It's calculated based on the number of cylinders, not calculated based on what is going into the cylinder, right? So if it is municipal water, the only treatment they do is add bleaching powder and cascade aeration. It is good water because it is coming from a river where the salt contamination is low. Only bacterial treatment is done and sent out, okay? There are cases where even municipal water in few areas had lead, and when we sent out letter to the government, they said it is one-off cases. We don't have any lead in the water, it is proven, okay? So test your water irrespective of what water you're getting to your apartment, okay? Now, tankers, as Aditya was saying, Jagdish Nagar last year, 3 cases of STP treated water being sent to individual houses. People who bargain heavily, they get 150 rupees tanker, 200 rupees tanker. If you're buying 150, 200 rupees tanker, it is a disposal water from some STP, right? The tanker transportation cost, you should be aware. The diesel cost to transport 12 KL tanker for 3.5 kilometers, the diesel cost will be around 540, 600 rupees. Right? You should be aware of all these costs, because if someone is giving cheaper, you can ask where are you taking it from. All these questions can be asked. Okay. Now, for when you give your water for testing, you will get a report. Okay. The standard report is a 14 parameter report. Okay. These are the values which you will get in a report. Now, these parameters you will have to see. What is the turbidity of the water? Turbidity is the clarity of water. If you see low to high turbidity, this one is, last one is say 20 to 30 NTU. The first one is say less than 5 NTU or 1 NTU. So turbidity of the water. pH, lots of people talk now, there are lots of alkaline water machines and things like that. People know little about pH but not fully. pH, so if you're living in an industrial belt, if you're in Pina, if you're living in an industrial belt, it is very necessary to validate the pH of the water from a good laboratory. There are acidic 4.5 ppm we have seen in borewell waters coming in Pina region. And 8.8, 9.5 ppm in Jigni region, we have seen the pH of the water coming in. So if you see that kind of variation in pH, there will be some contamination in the water. You should understand what that contamination is. Okay. Total dissolved salts, we all know, we have water purifier at home. People dip a meter and see. That is total dissolved salts, is not to be compared with hardness of the water. Someone dips a meter and sees, that's not the hardness of the water. Hardness is the next parameter. Total dissolved salts is combining all the minerals in your water. When they dip that meter, they pass electricity and see what is the value. That is a very rough indication on the salt content in the water. It doesn't say anything about any other parameters like nitrate, heavy metals, all that it doesn't say. Generally, when the TDS is say 3000, 4000 ppm in the incoming water, there is high chances that there is metals in the water, but you should validate based on the other parameters which you get tested. Calcium, magnesium are the hardness component. Both in carbonate forms are the hardness. So if you see white spotting in your fixtures, then it is calcium carbonate. If you see greenish color spotting in your fixture, then there is sulfate, other salts coming into it. Your WTP will not handle sulfate. WTP which the builder sets up is 2 cylinders. You would have gone to the STP room and seen 2 cylinders. The 2 cylinders, one will be a sand filter. They put pebbles and multigrain of sand. Second one will be a softener. Okay, softener is to reduce the hardness. Now you don't need softener in some cases. When your alkalinity value is too high, whatever softening you do, it doesn't practically work. Meaning it is too much of maintenance. When you maintain a softener, they will ask you to add salt, right? Common salt, sodium chloride gets added. When you add salt, calcium chloride goes out as waste. That cannot go to the STP. Aditya will have problem in the bacteria death. If the entire brine solution goes to the STP, bacteria dies. So all these parameters you'll have to decide when you look at WTP, water treatment plant. Okay. Now, next parameter. See, now we have reached a stage where if someone says, I don't need a purifier at my home, then it is wrong. Bangalore, most regions, most of the core prime areas, we have lost our water quality. Meaning we can't say my water is good. There can be contamination today, there can be contamination tomorrow. There is an NGT order saying that ban RO if the TDS of the water is less than 500. There is from Water Quality Association, they have submitted a report. Again, Basveshwar Nagar, all these came into picture. TDS is 300 and nitrate is 140 ppm. How can you drink that water without RO? There is no technology easily accessible for people. So if you are deciding not to go with RO, there can be 2 reasons. You are living in some area where you are getting municipal water and it is good water, you get it tested often. You have at least a basic carbon filter to remove the chlorine which they dump, meaning bleaching powder which they put in the main treatment plant. And then have a UV for disinfection, meaning if you remove chlorine, you don't have E. coli or anything in that if they dump chlorine. In Malaysia, I've seen if you open the sump, you'll get chlorine smell. That's heavy amount of bleaching powder they put. They don't put the chlorine dioxide. Chloramine is again harmful. Mysore, the entire municipal supply has changed to chlorine dioxide. There is no carcinogen in it. Chlorine has universally, people don't use it for domestic application because the salts in the water can convert to carcinogen. Chloramines, other things can come into the water. So if you are using municipal water, you should have activated carbon filter for your purifier. If you decide not to go for RO, then you should have activated carbon filter and a UV filter for your domestic application. Okay. Now, other parameters, those who live in Tumkur Road, you should be worried about fluoride. Okay, your 2 cylinders will not remove fluoride, and if some of them in the apartment says I've gone away with the RO, next few 6-7 years they'll have fluoride deposits in their body, right? So they should be really careful in playing with RO, not going with general marketing thing saying that this product is good, NF is good, RO. You should validate your house water yourself, because you're drinking, your family is drinking. So it is very important to understand. If your association is not giving the water report, then ask for the water report. What is the quality? You should know what you are using in your residence. Okay. Now, Whitefield and Hennur region, there is iron contamination. Okay. Iron, there are 2 kinds of iron. Hemi-iron, where bacteria eats off the iron, becomes an iron. That is one kind of iron. That is predominant in the Whitefield region. There is dissolved iron which is in Hennur Road. Okay. Now if you are in Hennur, the iron actually goes away with RO, but at the cost of RO membrane. Iron can be treated in the incoming water treatment plant. Okay. Your standard water treatment plant will not treat iron, will not treat nitrate. It will only reduce turbidity to a certain extent and only hardness. Okay. Okay. So nitrate. So all these, if you Google, what problem does iron cause? What problem does nitrate cause? So few people even ask, I have iron tablet now. If my iron is higher, will it solve? That is different iron. This is different iron. This will cause skin decoloring and things like that. When you bathe with that water, so all that needs to be careful. Now nitrate, they say the capacity of blood to carry oxygen to each of the organ decreases when you have high nitrate in the water which you consume. So you should be careful when you drink that water without RO purifier. If you're taking that risk, then you should know what you're doing. Few of my friends are completely against RO because of the wastewater it generates. So they switch that, but they know what water they are getting. They know what treatment they are doing. They have centralized way of handling few precipitation. So they know what they are doing. When people say I'm not using RO, they should know what they are doing before discarding that. Okay. Now, do I recommend RO? RO has lots of wastewater problem. All that issue is there, but there is no other product which will remove all the contaminants equally. Say there are products which will remove nitrate specifically. There are products which will remove fluoride specifically. But we are all laymen. We don't know what is coming. If there is one product which clears off majority, it takes good minerals also. It takes calcium carbonate also. It takes everything. But they say the mineral which is lost in the water, if you have 2 glasses of milk, the calcium carbonate from 2 glasses of milk compensate 1 month mineral from water. So we have reached the stage where we can't say we'll do away, but we are in the problem. We'll have to have proper solutions and work on what is coming to us in terms of water. Total coliforms and E. coli, these are last 2 parameters are the bacterial contamination. Now, the government, BWSSB and KSPCB says 65% of all borewell water is contaminated with E. coli and total coliforms. Now, government says that. People don't know what they are getting. Now, bacterial contamination, see, on a layman's perspective, it feels okay, bacterial infection, all that. Bacteria problem is for 3 days. You have stomach problem, 3-4 days, 5 days is the bacteria problem. The other contaminants, nitrate, iron, which you don't know, it doesn't show up. Those are long-term larger problems. So get your water tested for all these parameters. Once you know these parameters, speak to your WTP vendor, whoever has set up the WTP plant. Ask them to address the specific concern. It is okay to not have softener rather than have nitrate. Let them replace one softener which is adding salt, all that. Put a fluoride removal filter if you have. Put a nitrate removal filter if you have. So validate the WTP. So they have done a test out of say 100 samples they have taken on government buildings in Bangalore and other states. Government buildings which gets municipal water. Some have borewell water also supplementing. Out of 100 sample, these are seasonal. So if you see lead, post monsoon, after all the rains, if you see lead, 100 sample out of 100, all the 100 had lead traces in the water. Okay, I'm not saying these are taken from private people where they gave independent. This is done by government buildings which have, because that's where people can claim whether it is working or not. So you should be aware of this. Chromium 6, there are 2 chromiums, chromium 4 and chromium 6. Chromium 6 is becoming a big problem in Pina region. Okay, so now when you know that these contaminants are possible in the water, then you decide what to do on WTP, what to do for your home filtration. Chromium can't go inside, it's carcinogen. Lead can't go inside you, it is carcinogen again. So these are values, this presentation will be shared. You should be aware that your region, what is the contamination before you decide to buy water. Okay. Now, these are aesthetic problem which we see. Normally, people ask, my pipelines are choking, there is brownish color. See, these are easy things to solve, okay? But these are visible, meaning since you see it daily basis, these are visible. If your WTP is able to solve this as well, then that's a good WTP, okay? It should solve your aesthetic problem where the association bearers can tell to the residents that we are controlling hardness to a level of 200 ppm. We are removing say iron to less than 0.3 ppm, nitrate to less than 45 ppm. So if the association is able to claim this from their WTP, then that's a good WTP. Okay. Now, as Aditya is saying, any equipment you put, if there is no maintenance, if you leave the security guard who doesn't understand what he does for the WTP, if he's not trained, it will go wasted. We have had an apartment where the security guard was asked to put chlorine in the drum. You'll have a dosing pump in the tank to kill bacteria, right? He has been asked to put a drum alli chlorine salpa haakbidi anta. He has been putting 1 kg chlorine every day into the drum. 1 kg for the whole month is required. Now imagine the amount of chloramine which has gone for the whole month until someone found out what is the quantity. Now, if you are using WTP, the allowed percentage is 1 ppm, less than 1 ppm. Now you should go to your WTP tomorrow, because it's carcinogen which is coming to your house, and ask what is the quantity of chlorine they are adding. 1 ppm is 1 milligram per liter, which means that every liter of water which is taken out of the WTP, 1 liter should have 1 milligram per liter. So when you extrapolate it, say 10,000, you know what is the quantity of chlorine they are adding into the water. So this is first point. Don't dump chlorine onto the water. Okay. Generally, if you're getting smell in your taps with chlorine, then it is around 2.5 ppm. If you're getting chlorine smell in the tap which you open, whenever there is sewage contamination in the normal regular pipeline, the next 4 days you'll have heavy chlorine, because government decides let's dump 4 crore worth chlorine this month onto the thing so that people don't complain. Because chlorine smell, we are used to near swimming pool, we have always smelled chlorine, we felt it is okay, it is hygienic, all that. So you should be careful when you dump chlorine onto the water. Yeah. Okay, now as an apartment, what you should look in the incoming water. I've already told current source of water, quality of water, current stage of WTP. Is it put because the builder has put? What is the reason for the current WTP? If you don't need, see, sand filter people put and they don't change the media for years together, it will leach out silica, right? You should change the media. The cylinder not being sometimes is more better than having a cylinder there. You should understand. It is not about money, it's not about investment. If you are not changing the media in the sand filter, if it has organic compositions in it, it will leach out materials out to the water. It is rather better to bypass it than running the same system without replacing media. It is not like, let something work, something will not work. People have put something inside that will leach out onto the water. So you should be careful in what you treat. In most cases, sand filter, they don't change the media for 4 years, 3 years. It would have become clay. Water would have taken a stream. But if there is leaching starting, you will have silica in the water coming out. Okay. Third thing is, what are the natural resources of water stored and treatment? Say, what is the natural resource available for us? Rainwater, right? Rainwater, that's the only source which we are getting, right? So rainwater falls in 2 places, one in your terrace, one on the floor. Okay. It is easy to collect the terrace water. You will all have a standard rainwater filter which is coming on the down pipe that has little carbon in it. It will work a little bit again. We don't know what is coming out. So if you store the rainwater, you have to pass it through a WTP and take it to your application. That would be the best quality of water which you would get. So any rooftop water needs to be treated and used. That is the best quality in terms of salt content, carcinogen. There will be E. coli, total coliforms little bit. Your chlorination will take care. Instead of chlorination, if there is chlorine dioxide and ozonation, that's even better. But rainwater, that is the first source you will have to see. And any other source, see, we have done one layout where all the surface water, see, that layout had 6 borewells. They could not sell any plot. All the 6 borewell dry. They wanted to convert that to a water positive layout. They took they made 2 sides to a surface pond, okay, and that had a luckily gradient. All the rainwater is coming to that pond now. They're collecting surface water. Iron oxide is removed after that. There is a treatment plant after that, and now the layout has become a water positive layout. They're marketing that. All the sites got sold. Yeah, so you should look at surface water treatment and the rainwater treatment. Okay, now coming to the wastewater, lots of questions on wastewater. We have a solution, but yeah, I'll get to that. Now coming to wastewater, now STP is mandatory. After STP treatment, you're not able to use it. Now, not everyone has green TVT STP or good STP. If your STP is not treated and you are saying that anyway no one is coming, I'm paying the pollution control board, so no one comes for inspection, nothing, I don't treat that water. I have a nearby pit. See, we have seen out of 200 apartments we see in Bomasandra Electronic City region, 14, 15 of them dump the STP not treated water to the pit. Okay. Now, this was okay 25 years ago. You put a pit, the aquifer is very stretched, you don't have a building nearby. Aquifer is not divided. People did not drill too many borewells. Now, if you put your wastewater to a pit, it will come back to you in your borewell in some time, 1 year, 1.5. Silver Crown on apartment, borewell water over 4 years of sending the wastewater out has become black. Now they are putting a treatment plant and treating that water and using it. So you can't dump untreated water to the drain. If it is treated, you should use as much as possible. There are different per capita things, 135 liters per person per day, 150. Flushing generally based on 200 units, what we say, 45 to 50 liters per person per day they take. If you have a 100 unit apartment, you will generate wastewater, say 50 KLD, on a, not a high end ultra luxury apartment, but generally 100 unit apartment, you'll generate 50,000 liters of wastewater, out of which 20,000 liters you'll be able to effectively use for flushing and garden. Remaining 30,000 generally goes to the drain. There are solutions for it. Now, when STP is not working, you will end up using fresh water for your STP. Now, that problem gets solved once you have a good STP. So, your STP reuse also becomes better. So, you should see where you're sending the excess treated water. Water is going to become stricter and stricter day by day. Okay, there is national draft water use policy. We are happy we have been a part of designing this policy in 2015. Still, policy is in draft, so it is still not there. It will come in 2025. Then people will have severe problem with this excess water. See what is happening to the Bangalore. 200 lakes, 198 lakes are contaminated. Few people living in an apartment, they work for Amazon sustainability head, their own apartment, they send it to Kagdaspura Lake, right? They just talk, they don't act. Now, when it comes to acting, what they say is, my association people don't agree, okay? Association has to be run like a company, okay? If things has to go right, the association bearers have to take that responsibility to drive change in the apartment. Now, if there is a person saying that they don't agree, then they cannot be there in that seat, okay? They should give it to people who can drive it and get things done, okay? It is not for this. So if you're ready to sell the apartment next 3 months, then it's okay. So if you decide to stay in that apartment for long, if it is yours, if you mean well-being for the apartment, you should drive changes which are actually necessary for the apartment. Okay, so water is going to be stricter in terms of sending wastewater out. What NGT says, no apartment cannot send any water out, because apartment, when they send wastewater, it gets treated wastewater, it gets mixed with untreated sewage and ends up in one of the lake, because our infrastructure is not clear on what is stormwater drain, what is underground drain. Because of lots of construction, even in the city region, even in the outside region, there is no clear demarcation on what is UGD, what is. Only few apartments which were constructed, they are clear, they know what is UGD, they know what is stormwater drain. But NGT said you can't send any water out to the drain. Now NGT has said that to KSPCB, BWSSB. BWSSB and KSPCB called us, what is the solution for this? KSPCB said we can't promote one company doing some activity. See, we have been doing water treatment for the past 14 years. We have sold 1,000 plus system. That has been always our core area. We have been selling water treatment plant. Now, this action in 2019, we started working on recovery. This action is required for city of Bangalore. It is not just for one apartment. It is required for the city of Bangalore. What are we going to do when we don't have water? The tankers now, this month, is traveling from Marathalli to Electronic City to Marathalli to supply water. EcoWorld is buying, one tanker guy is supplying from Electronic City to Marathalli. He is burning more diesel than water, okay? So, we should look at how, in our apartment at least, how can we become sustainable, okay? Now, the only way of becoming sustainable is store all the water which is coming to the terrace, try to treat it. If you have a pond, if you are a good villa community, if you have a pond, use that pond for surface water, treat it and use it. Excess STP treated water, we have a solution where we bring in investment for the apartment. There is no investment to the apartment. We will see, we are doing this not for profit, meaning we recover our investment after 5 years. But when we go approach apartment, since we are an entity company, they ask what is the profit, you share the money which you are making. We are bringing in 25-30 lakhs worth investment for an apartment which is 300 unit. We put the equipment, take your excess treated STP water, pass it through our equipment, produce potable quality water and supply it to industry within 3.5-4 kilometer radius. Now, this way, that whole region, that industry won't take borewell water, they won't exploit the borewell water. Apartments' excess water problem is solved. Now, this capital we know apartments can't put. We have spoken to 300 plus apartments trying to sell this. We were asking them to use this water for drinking and things like that. We are very far away. People say my Tulsi plant is there, I can't put STP treated water. So we're very far away in terms of reuse of water. So we have come up with this model where if an apartment is interested, if they have excess, 75 to 1 lakh liters excess, the economic works out, we set up equipment there at our cost. The apartment has to give us inlet, which you legally are supposed to transport the water. So KSPCB says, if you go approach KSPCB what to do with this excess water, they say the nearest BDA park apartment pays money to the tanker guys, transport the water to nearest BDA park. That is the solution which KSPCB currently has. But KSPCB themselves know the apartments won't pay. Each tanker, it will be costlier than buying tanker to dispose this water to the nearest BDA park. I'll close with this. This is the infrastructure which we currently are planning, meaning take the treated STP water, process it via tanker, give it to industries. Eventually, people will take it to sump. We have seen one apartment taking it to swimming pool. Different costs are there. I'll share this slide. So eventually, if we have to become sustainable, we have to recycle whatever we have. Imagine spending 5 lakh rupees a month, and tomorrow, if you are able to spend only 1 lakh rupees per month, commercially viable, technologically viable, sustainable. That's the way forward. Thank you very much. I'll take in questions here.
Thank you very much, Vikas. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
This is a very interesting concept. Worldwide, I've seen this reuse of water being used in Singapore, in even in London, in France, Germany, and even in certain parts of US. My question to you is, I know this is a very big cultural issue of reuse of treated water. In your expertise so far that you have implemented these apartments, how many apartments in Bangalore have actually used reuse water for drinking purposes other than this thing? Pertaining to that, what are the challenges that we can do to overcome this cultural issue? Because people cannot tolerate this idea, and I've been trying my level best in the apartment to push this idea forward, and nobody buys this. Over to you, Vikas.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for this question. We have, through BAF, we have met 300 plus apartment. Not even one use it for drinking. So the water committee, we have seen how it changed over 2016 to now, how it has changed. One apartment which is 325 units. First year when we went and said, 17 people agreed. Okay. Next year it became 50. The recent is 317 people out of 325 agreed. But still it cannot go through because all have to agree, right? So if you are an apartment where you say, I am a water warrior and I want to push this, it won't push, it will get shot down in the AGM, okay? You can't push it for drinking at this moment. This is what, if your association, there is one apartment pan-India which is taking it to drinking, which is TZ Homes. They have been doing it from 2014 with multiple tanks and things like that. But with that infrastructure they're able to do, but no other apartment is taking it for drinking. But recently we have seen one apartment where all conservative people said, you set up your equipment where it has to be completely away from the drinking water supply, completely away. Some 7-8 people were in the association, we have no chance to mix this treated water to the fresh water line. So they have ensured that it is completely away, okay. The same apartment 6 months ago sent a photograph of their kid swimming in the swimming pool, which uses our treated water for the swimming pool. So it took 1 year, 6 months, every month water test report for the association to come to terms that their borewell water when they put to swimming pool is turning brownish in color because there is iron. So they have been having issues in the swimming pool. Now they are using our treated water to swimming pool, okay. Now when I say tertiary treatment plant, so the immediate thing comes to the mind is STP, sewage treatment plant. You have seen black color, bad water, right? That's not the case. It goes through 11 stages of treatment after STP. It's an elaborate 25-30 lakh equipment which has a series of stages which converts it to treated water. But saying all this, we are not yet there to psychologically adopt it, but we are there to psychologically adopt it when we take the tanker water from one gate and bring it to the other gate, right? So, sir, for your answer, it is better to tell people that we'll send this treated water to an industry nearby. That would be the best option to start off with. And if an apartment is not using the STP water for flushing, then first they'll have to look at Aditya or STP vendor to get it good to use it for flushing. Even after that it doesn't move, then set up our equipment, we'll supply the water on per liter basis for flushing also.
Thanks for the wonderful presentation.
Thank you, sir.
A lot of insights on that. So one common thing what we see in every kitchen is the RO. And similarly in every toilet there is a water softener which is installed where we are all getting supplies from the tankers. Because the water hardness level is very high and then it creates a lot of problems to your hair and then equipments and all that. Now to generate 1 liter of RO water, right? So there are various companies which give various figures. So on an average, even if we take about 3 liters is what which is going into the drain. So imagine one household and then when you have the calculation of liters water per capita and do the math on that and then see how much amount of which is not actually part of sewage. So that is all getting, because it's all because of the flaw in the plumbing system. So it's all going again back to the STP and then getting mixed with the grey water. So my question is there, in such a situation, is there a solution where actually instead of putting that water, which is coming from the RO or the this thing, instead of putting that to the STP, is there a way that it can be put into good use?
Sir, when you talked about per capita, so we take an average, say 2 liters or 3 liters drinking per day. So to consume, to make 3 liters, you will end up spending 12 or 13 liters of water incoming, right? This reject, if it goes to the drain, when it goes to the STP, the salt content increases, but the volume is not significant. Now I'll take an example of 100 unit apartment, okay? 100 unit apartment, 100 into 4, 400 people stay, you will consume 800 to 1000 liters for drinking, or say 1500. But the same 100 unit apartment, the wastewater which is going out is 30,000 liters. We are talking about 2000 liters. So the dilution is heavy. So would you rather focus on 30,000 liters or focus on 2000 liters going out? What is visible to us is day in, day out, we are seeing RO reject is going out, but the quantity is less. If it is able to go to the STP and able to recover using that, that is the best option. Because if you do a plumbing line, everything to manage RO water, infrastructure wise, it becomes an enormous cost to save 2000 liters. Commercially, it might not be viable. But if you are able to recover the major 30,000 liters which is going out, that's a larger volume. So people who worry about wastewater, they should first go see STP, what is the volume of water wasted. All RO people who say 3 liters gets wasted, I talk in forums, all that, they should go see their STP, what is the volume getting wasted. RO removes all the minerals. Your hair fall again, there is a different statistics. 10% is from water, 45% is from pollution, rest all is hereditary. So if someone complains about water, then yeah, so there is arguments for everything, but it is up to you. So hardness is one point which people have to be worried about. It's other points. So yeah, he lifted his hand. He says it's hereditary. So yeah, sir, did I answer your question? There is no easy.
See, because what happens is the outlet which goes from the RO gets connected to the nalika and then that flows into the
STP. STP.
So if there is a method where actually along with the RO you catch that water and then you use it for mopping the floor or plants or you use it for something.
Correct.
So there is a good amount of reduction from every household level which actually is going to create less impact on the aquifers also, because aquifers where we are extracting chlorine water is natural assets.
Correct. Sir, for this one number is there. If you have a 500 ppm inlet going to your RO, your wastewater will be 1500 ppm wastewater TDS. Okay. If you use it for 1500 is still okay. If you get inlet of 1000, your wastewater will be 3000. Then you can't use it for floor cleaning and other things. We have seen people fight about saying save water, I'll catch in a bucket. So they will do it for 1-2 days, sir. Finally it goes to the maid who is doing, they don't really worry about saving. It is only 1 day's activity where people do it. But if you ask me, is there a technology where there is no wastewater? There are technology, but you should know your water before you put those technology. Thank you, sir.
Sir, it is a question of educated mindset. The problem lies there. I have been personally using the RO water, as you said just now, we collect it in bucket and use it for last 12 years.
Wow.
religiously. We flush, we wash clothes, we wash utensils using that. We use RO water strictly for drinking and cooking.
Right.
It is an educated mindset. We want the more educated we are, we want somebody else to solve our problem, and we want to be in an iron pedestal. Thank you.
Yeah. So,
Yes, sir.
I am Subhash. I am the president of Shobha Chrysanthemum Association, which is in North Bangalore.
Yes, Mr. Subhash.
And definitely this is a solution which we have to use. Right? For the last 12 years, the one problem which we have not been able to solve is our STP problem. Right? So my question is that as per the proposal which you have given, you will be installing a separate unit to treat the STP water and then sell it to the industrial establishments. One important question will be, does your unit generate noise? If it does, what is the decibel level?
Right. So our system looks like a 20 feet container. Okay. It has one high pressure pump based on the volume. At the 10 meters radius level, it is around 45 decibel output in terms of noise. So wherever we have set up our equipment, there is no noise complaint. However, the equipment needs to be placed in a location where feed input is accessible. You don't burn on power, because that feed input power comes on the apartment, and the tanker access point. Okay, we generally have challenges saying tankers can't come in, but we don't want to spend on the pipeline which goes to the gate. Okay, when we going to invest, see, when we bring in 25-30 lakhs investment, there has to be some contribution at least to enable the infrastructure which is legally supposed to be done by the apartment. Okay, if that infrastructure is already there, then noise is not an issue, no smell issue. It is after STP. All smell, noise, everything goes away in the treated water. So we are lucky to get a clear water. Not every STP is good. We have a buffer. We take 30% buffer from the KSPCB value. Say BOD, we take up to 50 ppm, 40 ppm we take. Even the KSPCB says 10 or 30. We take little buffer in the incoming water. But to answer your question, noise is very less, 45 to 55 decibel.
What time of the day or night do you come to pick this up?
Right. So to be clear, this is not an established model. There are too many parameters which come into picture based on the location. What is the first parameter comes into picture? Industry is nearby for us to sell the treated water, so that over 4 years we are able to recover the investment. Okay, availability of industry. Now, if the industry is very close by, they want say 50 KL water, then 12 KL tanker, 4 numbers will come, take the water and go out. The tankers don't wait. The economics doesn't work if the tankers wait for more than 15 minutes. If they wait for 20 minutes, 100 rupees gets charged. So economics goes for a toss then. So it needs a gravity feed system and it needs a buyer. Okay, it is an inline system. Per tanker is 12 KL. Average based on the volume. If there is buyer, then everything. Currently, as of today, we are happy to say that 8 lakh liters every day gets sold via tankers. So we'll be able to look at that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes,
just
sir.
one
Yes.
last question. See, when it comes to our association and the residents, usually it is the external things what they see. They don't know about this STP or the water or whatever the, implementation or the things we want to do. Hardly many people understand. To buy in from the people, we need to have a proper education or the system wherein we have to tell it to the, inform the people and take the buy-in. Because when it comes to any commercial this thing, it's hard. People do not understand, first of all. Now, even like in our apartments, what is happening is we don't have meters. So the water is used like, they have a river next to them. They feel. They use like anything. They don't have, when we tell that there is we are buying 100, 150 tankers per day, they do not understand. So now it becomes a very big task for the association members here to tell the people, like supposing we want to invest in this 25 lakhs or 30 lakhs. So it becomes very difficult for us to go further, convince them. So what I request is, I want a presentation from you to the association, our association, educate the people, we'll put the notice, and I want the people to understand what we are trying to do. So that is the first step. And the second step is like, we would like to have a kind of the history or the how many successful projects you have completed here. We need to see some figures, and we would like to know, have a business model or business case presented to us, particularly for my, I'm very selfish here, for me, for my Prestige Falcon City. So this we would like to have to go further on this.
Right, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I have two answers for this. First, this is not a commercial activity for the apartment. For apartment, it is a legal compliance activity where if the NGT comes, now they are saying 10 lakh rupees fine per month. That is what NGT is saying. So it is not a commercial activity where business model, investment, there is no investment from the apartment. We get the investment. For apartment, it is just the compliance. You will be saving 10 lakh rupees per month on fine if it actually happens. If you give a letter saying you can push it for 6 months, 1 year until NGT becomes stronger or KSPC becomes stronger. So the answer is, it is not a commercial activity. There is no capital equipment spent from the apartment side. Okay. What is spent from the apartment side is the infrastructure. For us to set up the system, we need space. For that also we give rent for the space which we take. For the system, there is power. For that also we pay 8 rupees per unit for the power. So there is no capital investment from the apartment. What is the investment which is required is for those apartment which does not have the infrastructure to give the plumbing line to the system and take the treated water via tankers. That's the only expense you're going to have. Second, how do you convince people to do this? See, commercially, all the problem is solved by companies like us. Okay. What I see lacking in the apartment association is the leadership of the top people to drive the change. If they are with the intention saying that I'm going to sit here for 6 months, 1 year and move away, then this doesn't get pushed. They will say water committee is not agreeing. So all these, so we should make them realize the need. So if Falcon City is buying 150 tankers per day, it is not sustainable. Next 3-4 years, it's going to increase. Tanker water people are buying, ready to buy at 6,000 rupees per tanker from Sarjapur Road. Whitefield Comer Industries is ready to buy at 6,000 rupees per tanker. We are not able to supply because we'll be burning diesel. We don't want to supply there. We are not selling. But the water cost is going to significantly hit the roof over time. And if Falcon City doesn't look at sustainability now, then it will be too late. Meaning you will end up paying huge amount of money. There will always be band-aids, fixed, temporary. So you should look at two things. One, setting your STP right. Second, drive this change as the leadership team in the whole community, because it's a wonderful community you have. If you're able to make this whole community sustainable in terms of water, it is benefit for everyone in the cycle. The whole road benefits. Metro doesn't get water. Tanker water, 6,000 liters tanker gets there. They struggle to find water because the tanker water are on a contract with apartments to supply large quantity of water. So the whole road gets benefit. So you should look at your apartment as one central place where you're able to contribute for the whole road, whole region. Apartments can do it. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So one last question.
Yes, sir. Sir, yeah, so ours is not a normal RO where you have 3 times reject. If you give us 1 lakh liters, we'll recover 70,000 liters from it. 30,000 liters does not go out as waste. There is something called salt balance. In industries, they can't do it. In apartments, we can do it. So we don't send a drop of water out as waste. All the salts gets accumulated, all the sludge gets accumulated, is handled in the STP. We don't have anything going out. So if you're 1 lakh liter buyer, if you're able to use this efficiently inside the system, you'll buy only 20 or 30,000 liters. That's a fresh water. So to answer your question, RO reject is not sent out. It is not a normal RO. It is something called XFR RO, where the recovery is 75%, 25% reject is taken back to the cycle by balancing the salts. I've answered that.
So one question.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you touched upon the need for water meters. That's another very complex, very difficult thing to convince members. Could you include one slide around, I mean, what's the allowed consumption, whatever as per standards, because those things matter a lot. Definitely things around sustainability. Apart from that, whatever is the allowed norms in your slide, because they are going to publish the slide to us. Also on a slide around what are the allowed levels on nitrate, chlorine and everything. And anyway, in the break time, I will show our water quality report to you. And
Yes, sir. So to answer your question, now we can add that in the slide. But with water meters, I have seen apartment association put water meters for the sake of finding the thief inside the apartment. Okay, the intention of setting up a meter is not to save water. It is to find who is using more water. So if the intention is to find thief, then the purpose is lost. Your intention in the apartment to put a water meter is to see how much water gets saved. So where is the water leaking? If your per capita average is 130 or 150, if your apartment is using 300 liters, then there is wastage somewhere. So water meters are meant to reduce water and not to catch the thief inside the building. Okay, so yeah, so right. Right. Yeah. So people who take advantage of the facility, then they have to be penalized. I agree. But yeah, that is the first question. Now, in terms of limits, what is the limits in the water report which you get? There is a column which says what is the maximum permissible limit as per IS 10,500 standards. It says what is the limit as per IS standards. So you will get it in the report. I'll see the report and I'll update that. Thank you. Thank you very much for patiently listening. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sir, please. Thank you, sir, for the wonderful presentation. I now call upon Dhanush to hand over the sapling to you.